Let's get one thing straight. The 1980s were wild when it came to cartoons. Shows back then weren't just about Saturday morning fun. They were full-blown fever dreams wrapped in neon, powered by toy deals, and sprinkled with a level of weirdness that makes you ask, was everyone just okay? But you know what? We loved them. Maybe it was the catchy theme songs, maybe it was the bright, chaotic energy, or maybe, just maybe, we were all high on sugar cereal and didn't notice how bizarre things really were. Like a teenage boy who turns into a car when he gets hot. Yes, really. So in today's video, we're looking at 10 weird but beloved cartoons from the 80s. Expect alien high schools, singing pop stars with magical earrings, and sentient dinosaurs in sunglasses. Buckle up, Gen Z. The 80s were an entirely different universe. You know what the 80s needed? A cartoon about a glam rock pop star with a secret identity and a talking AI. Jem and the Holograms was glitter, chaos, and power ballads rolled into one sparkly explosion. The plot? Jerrica Benton runs a record label by day, and by night becomes Jem, an electric pink-haired pop queen, using a holographic supercomputer named Synergy. Oh, and her earrings were literally magic. No big deal. And don't forget the rival girl group, the Misfits, who were somehow always trying to commit mild crimes through music. The show felt like an 80s music video, but stretched into 22 minutes. The drama? Over the top. The outfits? Even more over the top. The plot lines? Sometimes about sabotage, sometimes about saving an orphanage. You never knew what you'd get, but that was the magic. Even though it was designed to sell dolls, because the 80s were toy-crazed, Jem developed a real cult following. She was like a pop star Barbie, a real glam superhero with a secret and a song. Truly, Jem was outrageous. Outrageous. Truly, truly, truly outrageous. Imagine walking into a pitch meeting and saying, okay, what if every animal was actually two animals smushed into one? That's the Wuzzles for you. A Disney Hanna-Barbera cartoon where creatures like a bumblebee plus lion hybrid, Bumble Lion, or an elephant plus kangaroo, Elaroo, went on pastel adventures on the island of Wuzz. It's like the animation studio just said, let's spin the animal mashup wheel and see what happens. Despite only airing for 13 episodes, the Wuzzles left an oddly strong impression. Everything was squishy, colorful, and slightly too cute. It was like someone took Lisa Frank stickers and fed them radioactive cereal. The show's world building was surprisingly detailed. There were Wuzzle vehicles, Wuzzle food, and of course, Wuzzle villains, like Crocosaur. Yes, a crocodile plus dinosaur, we're not making this up. Kids loved it though. Maybe because it was so unapologetically weird? Or maybe because the idea of animal hybrids was every child's doodle dream come true. Also, the theme song was a proper bop. Here's one for the wait, this existed? Hall of Fame. Denver the Last Dinosaur is the story of a skateboarding, guitar-playing dinosaur from prehistoric times who becomes besties with a group of California kids. How did they find him? They cracked open a dino egg at a construction site. Obviously. Denver was the perfect mascot for friendship, and he was literally chill incarnate. He skateboards, plays sports, eats chips, and wears shades like he invented 90s swag a decade early. And the theme song? Pure fire. Denver the Last Dinosaur, he's my friend and a whole lot more. What does a whole lot more mean? We may never know, and maybe that's okay. There were messages about environmentalism and bullying mixed in, and somehow Denver had to keep his identity secret, even though he was a 7-foot green dinosaur with a mullet. Yeah, real subtle. But weirdness aside, Denver had heart. It wasn't trying to be edgy or flashy. It just wanted to teach kids about kindness, the environment, and apparently dino fashion. Now this one is deep space weird. Galaxy High School took two average teens from Earth, Cool Jock Doyle and Brainy Amy, and enrolled them in a high school in outer space. Their classmates? Aliens. Their gym teacher? A tentacle monster. Their cafeteria food? Probably alive. In space, the rules are different. Amy the nerdy girl suddenly becomes popular. Doyle, the golden boy, bottom of the food chain. It's like Freaky Friday meets Star Wars with a side of high school drama. The designs were super stylized, a blend of Dr. Seuss and Jetsons fan art. Characters had multiple eyes, heads, or just bounced like jelly. Despite only lasting 13 episodes, Galaxy High became a cult classic. And you can thank John Kricfalusi, who later created Ren and Stimpy, for that quirky style. It also had one of the most underrated theme songs in 80s cartoon history. Galaxy High felt like a messy experiment that somehow worked. And honestly, we'd totally go back. Before Peppa Pig and Bluey, there was SuperTed, a soft-spoken teddy bear with a cosmic origin story. The concept? A rejected teddy bear is brought to life by a cosmic being, then given superpowers by Mother Nature herself. Then he fights crime in space, alongside an alien named Spotty, who looks like a banana with measles. It's adorably bizarre and so very British. What made SuperTed stand out wasn't the cliché superhero angle. It was gentle, thoughtful, kind. The bad guys weren't terrifying. They were silly, like Texas Pete, a cowboy villain with zero intimidation factor. Episodes often came with light moral lessons, soft colors, and a pacing that didn't assault your brain. In short, it was a warm cup of bedtime cocoa with tights and a cape. Sometimes weird is comforting. You know what kids love? The undead, possession, the afterlife. So naturally, Tim Burton thought, let's make a Saturday morning cartoon out of Beetlejuice. But here's the twist. This show barely resembles the movie. Instead of being a sleazy ghost for hire, animated Beetlejuice is more of a lovable trickster. And Lydia, the goth teen from the film, now she's his bestie. They hang out in the Netherworld, a monster-filled realm where logic goes to die. Beetlejuice turns into cars, bugs, anything, and every episode feels like a Looney Tunes fever dream. Oh, and the puns. So many puns. The animation is pure chaos. The characters, grotesque in the best way. The plots, usually about avoiding work, pranking people, or accidentally unleashing some ancient curse. But that's what made it fun. It didn't take itself seriously, and somehow that gave it heart. Beetlejuice, the cartoon, turned creepy into quirky, and kids ate it up. Alright, strap in, because this one's insane. Turbo Teen is about a regular high schooler named Brett who turns into a red sports car when he gets too hot. Yes, his body morphs into a literal car because of a lab accident involving lightning and a government prototype. When he cools down, say with water or AC, he turns back into a boy, which leads to a lot of "quick, throw ice on him" moments. This is what happens when writers watch The Incredible Hulk and think, but what if cars? Every episode features Brett solving crimes or running from bad guys, all while desperately managing his body temp. Will he get too hot during a basketball game? Will he transform mid-date? The drama is overheated in every sense. Turbo Teen was ridiculous and kind of terrifying when you really think about it, but somehow it's stuck in the cartoon memory vault. Probably because no other show has ever dared to say, let's make puberty about turning into a Camaro. You've heard of the Smurfs, but have you met their underwater cousins? The Snorks were colorful, sea-dwelling creatures who lived in Snorkland and had snorkel-like tubes on their heads that let them jet through the water like little submarines. Each Snork had its own personality, like All-Star, the leader, Casey, the tomboy, and Dimmy, the lovable goofball. They dealt with everything from underwater bullies and treasure hunts to deep-sea science experiments gone wrong. Let's be real, it was all just a bubbly, neon-colored metaphor for childhood drama, but in fish tanks. What made it weird was the world building. The Snorks had underwater technology, an economy, schools, and even music competitions. And the theme song, certified banger. You knew it was gonna be a good Saturday morning when you heard that synth kick in. He had springs in his shoes, helicopter blades in his hat, a hand that popped out of his trench coat. He was Inspector Gadget, the world's most clueless detective, with the world's coolest gear. Gadget was basically a walking Swiss Army knife, but here's the kicker. He was completely incompetent. Luckily, his brilliant niece Penny and her dog Brain did all the real detective work, while he bumbled around unknowingly foiling villains. If child labor was illegal in cartoons, this show would have ended in episode 1. Dr. Claw, Gadget's nemesis, was the perfect balance of menacing and mysterious. We never saw his face, just his metal hand stroking a cat like an evil Bond villain. The gadgetry was endlessly fun to watch. The plot's a bit repetitive, but who cared? Inspector Gadget was peak 80s cartoon chaos. Absurd, tech-obsessed, and just the right amount of spooky. Also, no one talks about how jacked this man was under that coat. By the power of Grayskull, he had the power. Set in the fantasy world of Eternia, Prince Adam raised his magical sword and became the ultra-ripped, ultra-good guy He-Man. His job? Defeat Skeletor, a blue-skinned, skull-faced villain with a voice like a sarcastic goose. Every episode followed the same formula. Skeletor hatches a dumb plan. He-Man and his squad, like Tila, Man-at-Arms, and Orko, stop him using muscle, magic, and moral lessons. And I do mean moral lessons. Each episode ended with He-Man talking directly to the camera about stuff like honesty, sharing, or not petting wild animals. It was iconic, it was hilarious, it was weird. Also, let's talk outfits. Everyone dressed like they were going to a fantasy gym. There were loincloths, furry boots, and more exposed thighs than in a beach volleyball tournament. But He-Man was more than muscle. It created a legacy that still echoes through pop culture. Remakes, memes, merch. He-Man taught kids about doing the right thing, and that yelling at the sky while holding a sword is 100% acceptable. So, what have we learned today? That the 80s were wild, and when it came to cartoons, the weirder, the better. We got dinosaurs with guitars, cars that used to be boys, bear lion bee hybrids with anxiety. These shows might not have always made sense, but they were absolute fun. They didn't care if you thought the premise was dumb, as long as you sang the theme song. And honestly, we still would. In the 80s, there was no such thing as a too weird cartoon, except maybe Turbo Teen. That dude needed a therapist.